Now, by now, the grown-ups had just started on their third pot of coffee. Their voices were getting loud, and we girls were hiding in Nanny's bedroom when it happened. It was one of the loudest slaps I had ever heard, immediately followed by a blood-curdling scream. We flew out of that room. The only sound in the entire world was the hideous, high-pitched caterwaul coming out of Booger Boy. No one moved. We all just stared at him. It was really quite impressive. It wasn't until the dog started to howl that we came to our senses. His mother ran over and hugged him, which apparently was the only way he would stop screaming. Unfortunately, he started crying and pointing at our little brother. From what we could tell, little brother smacked the crap out of that kid. When our mother asked him why, his bottom lip started to quiver, but he said very clearly, "He put boogers on me." Booger Boy's mother got really indignant and decided it was time to go. Yes. Then, one by one, they all left, except Uncle Dale and Aunt Mary. Never have I been so proud of our little brother. I even mussed his hair. Nanny had insisted that Uncle Dale and Aunt Mary stay with her that night, which meant we couldn't stay. It was rather late when we left, but as we were leaving, I turned to Uncle Dale. "I'm sorry about your sister." "Thank you." He looked down at me and suddenly looked very old. "I'm sorry about your teeth, too." For a brief second, I thought he was going to hurt me, but he chuckled instead. "It's all right, kid, but let that be a lesson to you. Always brush your teeth." Funerals are such strange events, especially when you're a kid. Everything seems more accentuated, more extreme. And when it comes to grown-ups, we kids are often overwhelmed. Grown-ups dress strange. You would never see one of us wearing the weird stuff grown-ups wear. Well, not willingly. Grown-ups also smell. I think they often forget just how tall they are. Things are a lot different from our perspective. I may add, perfume and cologne do not always help. That also goes for our sense of sound. Our voices may not be fully developed, but our sense of hearing is pretty good. Uncle Dale had all kinds of friends from work, his neighborhood, and his church. It is his church that organized the funeral, the music, and the lady singing. She has to be well into her 90s. She is really shrunken, and though she doesn't use a cane, she gives the impression of someone trying not to fall. Around her head is very fine, wispy hair, almost like angel's hair, through which you can see the bright pink scalp. But the most fascinating thing is that she sparkles more than anyone here. She is like a little star flickering on the stage. I don't know what Uncle Dale's favorite hymn is, but this little shining star is about to sing it. I'm sure in her day she had a lovely voice. However, after 90 some years of use, it no longer had the desired effect. As she starts to sing, a high-pitched squeak fills the room. Her voice hits octaves so high, I'm pretty sure they are not meant to exist. They certainly don't belong in this song. The worst part, though, is she is so sincere. It's rather surreal. The lights in the church aren't that bright, but they were dancing off of her little person like diamonds. The whole room is hushed. I'm not sure if they are as fascinated as I am, but no one is moving. Here I sit, the sudden urge to giggle creeping up from my gut, my chest and my throat getting tight. It's getting difficult to stifle until I realize the pew is shaking, very slightly shaking. How odd. My urge to giggle is subsiding, but my curiosity is growing. I look down the pew. No one seems to notice, but my sister nudges me and points the other way. I can't believe it. There is our mother hiding behind her program, face red, tears streaming down her cheeks, and laughing so hard the pew is shaking. Oh, we're all going to hell now. The woman next to her is actually trying to console her. She thinks it's grief. Oh, dear God. At last, the little songbird finishes and everyone claps. Are you supposed to clap at a funeral? And Mother calms down some, but not completely. Every now and then I look over and see her hide her face. She might have fooled them, but we knew. Finally, it's over. Well, the church part is. Now we have to go pile up in the family van, all 8 of us, and follow the hearse to some far-off distant land so Uncle Dale's final resting place can be in his family plot. Okay, it isn't so far off, but it sure feels like it. I mean, when you pile 4 girls, a little brat brother, 2 parental types, and an old lady in their Sunday best into a vehicle without AC on a sweltering summer day, 1 mile seems like 10. It just sucks. There is whining, crying, kicking, pulling hair, and threats running rampant. And then there is this. Oh, I meant to tell you, Mary's coming to live with me. Huh? What? All of us ask in unison. She can't stay on her own. She doesn't know how. Dale did everything. He even cooked. He didn't allow her to. He used to say she couldn't boil an egg, or she'd burn the house down. How can she pay the bills? You know she can't read or write, explained Nanny. I didn't know any of that. It explains why she always had me read things to her. She always said it was because I could read so well. The lies! The cover-ups! Wait, does that mean I don't read very well? But Mother, can't she go on a home? She's not your responsibility. No, she cannot. I know Dale was my uncle, but he didn't do right by her. He left her nothing, not a thing. Not even that house. One of his nephews got that. Jamie, I think. Not that the boy would kick her out, but she couldn't live on her own. No one moved. We were all staring at her. Incredible. Why can't Aunt Mary read? I ventured. It is our mother who replies. Because, Katie Jean, No one ever taught her. She has not had a life as good as you, any of you. She came from a backwards country family who did not think it was necessary for girls to be taught anything. The moment Uncle Dale showed the slightest interest, did they did their level best to marry her off. She was supposedly a catch. He was supposedly a catch, and your Aunt Mary was beautiful. She had no confidence. Uncle Dale was worldly, lots of confidence, and a good steady job as a teacher. He was a teacher? Oh, yes. Disgusting, isn't it? She turned to her mother. What about our dog? Oh, no. No. We talked about that. That dog is not living in my house. One of the girls will take it. But, Mother, that was her dog. She loves that dog. No, I let her down easy. I used Susie Q as an excuse. I wasn't mean about it. This, at least, was good news. We don't go to visit Uncle Dale and Aunt Mary at their house very often. Mother says it's because of the distance, but I think she just doesn't like going there. I admit, I'm not crazy about the place either. The only cool thing about the place is the mailbox, because it looks like a windmill, and there's a little bridge that you must walk across to get to it. I'm told he made the bridge, but I have my doubts. He was just too mean to make something so awesome. The house, however, is a small, dark bungalow that looks like something from a Nancy Drew story. I think it's a green color, but I'm not sure. That might just be stuff growing on it. The inside is worse. Uncle Dale wouldn't allow Aunt Mary to open any of the curtains or drapes because he didn't want anyone peering in and watching him. Who the hell would do that? Quite honestly, they were ugly drapes. A nasty brown with big orange flowers. Everything in their house seemed to be brown, including the little dachshund, who would insist on greeting you at the door with sniffs and growls before walking away, nose stuck in the air. Of course, she's constantly beside Aunt Mary, her pockets full of treats. The dog is quite fat, like a football with a tail. Most of the time, we're outside, but if we have to be inside, that old man complains the entire time. He just sits in that ugly, nasty recliner, shooting verbal bullets at Aunt Mary and her dog. That's when he's not yelling at the TV, moaning about all the roadworks or a million other things. Poor Aunt Mary can never do anything right. She tries to make coffee for everyone, and it's too strong or too weak. She tries to be gracious and offer us cookies. It would be either, "You're giving them all that crap? Don't we have something better? You'll have people thinking we can't afford anything nice." Or, "Damn, woman, you want to give them the family jewels too? You act like I'm made of money." This always confuses me. I didn't know they had any jewels. Oh yes, we all hate going there. The absolute worst occasion, though, was after a huge storm. It had put us all in darkness for hours. Of course, we kids loved that. The rain was coming down in torrents, lighting Lightning lit up the entire house, and thunder made our bones rattle. But it was the wind that terrified me. At one point, I saw a lawn chair fly by the garbage window of the garage window. flew by something. It was so loud you would have thought the train was coming through. I was waiting for the house to come off the foundation, like in The Wizard of Oz. It seemed an eternity with all of us huddled on the garage steps leading into the house. Apparently, that was the safest place. The storm eventually passed, but it was too late and too dark to assess any damage. So we were sent to bed. I hated crawling in bed in the dark. Morning came, and boy, what a mess. Tree branches were everywhere, trash cans and garbage strewn all over the yard, and that lawn chair. It was ours. We all, even Mother, cleaned up the yard and then helped our neighbors. It took forever cleaning that mess up. Okay, not literally forever, but it was well after noon when the power finally came back on. That afternoon we rode over to Nanny's expecting the worst. She was fine, never even lost her power. She had, however, been trying since the night before to call Aunt Mary, but the phones were still down in her part of town. So, after much deliberation and feeling like a freshly picked carcass, we all climbed into the van and to ride over there. The main roads going across town were gleaming from all the rain and motor oil. For a while, that was all we saw. Then we got to the other side of town. Man, was it awful. There was trash everywhere. In the yards, in the ditches, on the roads. It was as if we entered another world. It was going to be a good hour before we got there. As fate would have it, that was when our little brother had to pee. Mom! Mom! Little brother whined, pulling on the only thing he could grab, our mother's bra strap. Sit down and stop pulling on me. Now what do you want? I gotta pee, he said, sat down, tugging at his shorts. Well, that's not gonna help you, she said, turning to the old man. How long do you think it'll take? Not much longer. The road is clear, so we should be moving in a minute. Then he looked in the rear-view mirror at Brother. We'll be there soon. Just cross your legs. So we did. Then he shoved his hands in between them. I just shook my head. But our old man was right. We started moving for about 10 minutes. First, the bridge was out. All we could see were railings on top. But that was all right with me. I didn't have to pee. Yards were littered with debris. No one seemed to have power. Not a single light was on. So we couldn't tell at first that the road was washed out until we were nearly swept away. Of course, there was a detour, but that was a hair-raising moment that caused little brother to pull on the bra strap again. Mama, I gotta pee. Stop. But I gotta pee. Little brother was dancing now. Sit down, snapped the old man. He sat, and quick too. Then the whimpering started. You shouldn't yell at that boy. He can't help it if he needs to go. Nanny spoke up for him. I could see the old man's face reflected in the rearview mirror, and he was not happy. I really need to go. Little brother was crying now. Oh, can't you pull over for the child? Nanny pleaded. Mother turned around to look at her son, who was squirming in his seat, big tears rolling down his chubby cheeks. Daddy, you're going to have to pull over. Why the hell didn't he go before we left the house? That was almost 2 hours ago. He's a kid. He can't hold it that long, persisted Nanny. All right, damn, I'll pull over. We found ourselves bumping roughly to the roadside. Nanny helped little brother open the door, barely getting his pants down in time. He was shaking, he had to pee so bad. If the rest of you have to go, now is your chance. I'm not going to stop again for you kids to pee. You girls got to go? Huh? Anyone? The old man exaggerated a lot with his hands. Well, you stopped. None of that is necessary. Will you stop? None of that is necessary. People are staring at us. Just drive. He looked at our mother. I'm not stopping anymore for kids to pee. Okay. Have they said anything? No. Can we please just go? I would like to get there today. So on it went for the next 20 minutes. But wouldn't you know it? Now I needed to pee. It was early evening when we pulled into the drive. It didn't look good. Not that it ever did. The front door opened and all we saw was black. Then a flashlight followed by eerie white glare of Aunt Mary's face. That little dog was there somewhere. I could hear her. We kids nearly stumbled over each other trying not to step on that little hairy football. Before we got too far inside, I wriggled a flashlight from Aunt Mary so we could use the bathroom. Of course, we older girls all went together. I'm sure our mother was not happy about this. She would have thought it rude. Somehow, peeing my pants seemed ruder. While I was sitting there in the dark with two of my sisters, the conversation went thus. Did you see that dog? No, but I think I kicked it a couple times. I did, and I swear it was wearing a diaper. What? Yup, a diaper. Oh my God. I know. Ew. Aunt Mary is a little nuts. Nice, but nuts. I bet it's Uncle Dale. He's so weird. Agreed. Just then, in mid-giggle, there was a knock at the door. Shh! Stifled giggles. Another knock. We slowly opened the door to see our little sister standing there with yet another flashlight. Mother said y'all hurry up, and I need to pee. Crap. We'll hear about this one on the way home. Our mother had a weird sense of manners. I mean, geez, was she ever a kid? We made our way back to the living room. You girls sit on the floor, instructed our mother, sitting on the plastic-covered sofa. Let us adults on the furniture. Not sitting on the furniture didn't bother me. Not knowing where the dog was did. I just couldn't stop thinking about why it was wearing a diaper, and was I sitting on something nasty? I was contemplating this when I felt something cold and wet on my hand. Oh, dear God. I yanked my hand away and then realized it was the dog's nose. Cautiously, gingerly, I patted her head. She stood there in all her dogginess, panting while I scratched her ears, knowing the whole time she had that diaper on. I squinted my eyes to see it, but no luck. Then she turned around. Good Lord. Was it a diaper? I still couldn't tell because she walked off. Nanny, who was sitting at the end of the plastic sofa, leaned over to whisper to me, Be careful with that dog. Mary said she was a little nasty today. I think the woman put a damn diaper on her. Yeah, I think I saw it. For the next 15 minutes, I sat there in the dark listening to the adults talk while Uncle Dale bitched and blamed everything on his wife. I couldn't stop thinking about that dog and where she was. I was so wrapped up in that thought, the sudden brightness of lights and the high volume of the TV made me lurch. I looked around to see Aunt Mary sitting in her little chair without makeup, but pretty much herself. Uncle Dale was in his undershirt sitting in that ratty, stinky recliner, yelling over the TV at his docile wife for not having him a clean shirt. I had momentarily forgot about the dog. Then I saw a queer look on everyone's face, especially our mother's. I held my breath and glanced down. Oh, holy shit. There in the center of the floor, looking up at all of us with her big brown eyes, was the dog, ferociously wagging her tail. A tail, I might add, that was sticking out of a Kotex. No one spoke at first. No one moved. I told Mary to put something on her. She was bleeding all over the place, spit out Uncle Dale, shocking the hell out of everyone. I looked over at Aunt Mary, who, extremely embarrassed and staring at her hands, said, "That was the best I could do. I'm so sorry." "What are you apologizing for? Something had to be done. It was just nasty. Don't apologize, woman," chastised Uncle Dale. Aunt Mary was about to cry when our mother, out of pity for her or just disgust, said the best thing anyone could have said. "I can see things are fine here. I'm sure the phone will be on soon if it isn't already." And she popped up off the plastic sofa. "You're not off already?" asked Aunt Mary, almost pleadingly. "Oh, leave 'em alone, woman. I need my dinner. Or do you expect me to starve?" "Oh, Uncle Dale, I hardly think you're going to starve," injected Nanny. "We need to go home anyway. It's a long drive, and we need to eat too. Mary, I'm glad everything is all right. I'll call you later in the week. Now we must be going." Mother gestured toward the door. That may have been the quickest we ever left anywhere. Our mother wasn't known for her quick departures. As we were running for the door, I saw Nanny put a hand on Aunt Mary's shoulder and whisper, "I'll call you tonight to make sure you're all right. Or call me when your phone comes on. We'll talk." That was the first time I was ever worried about Aunt Mary. It was also the last time I would ever see Uncle Dale or that house or that dog.